name you want. So, and people can go in and out of the rooms. So it's quite very much like open space.
Okay.
Hey, Peter, can't hear you.
I'm not a technology girl, so I have a question. So what is the rooms doing? So we pose a question in each room or what?
You can, if once we're talking, if you want to discuss a subject more, you just click on the room you want to move to, and you'll be in it, and you can rename the title if you like, so people know what that room's about.
Okay.
Just be what it is.
Okay. Yep.
I'll jump into a room and show you, so you'll be able to see it.
Yeah.
It should update.
Thank you.
So the only thing would be, Jerry, we could put in people's names in there if they wanted to, from the panel group, if there was a specific room that you'd want them to go to. But we could also do it free and open, however they want to move.
Yeah. Yeah, you never know where the conversation will go, right? So I think just leave it as it is so far. So it is 8 o'clock, so we're going to get started. So welcome everybody that's here. We're going to be talking, we are meeting every month now to discuss things. This all started because of LinkedIn conversations and ongoing chains of words and words and words and words. And I thought, well, maybe we should talk to each other once in a while. So also want to understand what's going on in different parts of the world, not just in Australia, Sydney, Australia, but what's going on in other places. So we've invited people from other places as well to join. Basically, the structure is we have a panel. So we have a panel of people who are working in this space, let's say. This month, we're looking at Leadership 2020. So as Rob said earlier, what got you here won't get you there. And so we'll be looking at that today and having a discussion about that. So I'll just quickly ask the panel members to go ahead and introduce themselves. I'm Terry Christian. I'm an American, but I work in Sydney, Australia. Next. Who else?
Hi, I'm Karen Ferris. I work out of Melbourne, Australia. I'm a consultant around organisational change.
I love short introductions and I hate introductions in general, so let me get it out of the way. I'm Jenna Blomstrom. I'm based in London and I'm CEO of a company called People Not Tech.
I'm Omar. Good morning. I'm in Sydney. I live and work here.
Hi, I'm Cherry Vu. I work in New Zealand and Vietnam. I'm in Wellington. So I have the companies and organization to transfer or to change themselves to be agile leader and agile managers. Thank you.
I'm Rob England. I'm her assistant. So I do most of the work in New Zealand and Cherry does most of the work in Vietnam.
Hi, this is Miguel. I'm from Mexico. Yes, I work in financial institutions as an IL coach, and I have received invitation by email. And for me, it's very interesting to be here in order to share I think that we have the same challenges. I don't know. I am here in order to learn about all this topic. Thank you very much for your invitation.
All right. Okay, I think that we got everybody. So I'll just start off with a question. So basically, or just a topic to get us going, and then we'll talk. And then after about 15, 20 minutes, we can break out into rooms. So if we start getting on conversation and we're passionate about it, you can just click on the room on the left and you can go into a room. Pete, do you want to cover anything else about the technology before we get started?
Yep, so I'm Peter, I'm the founder of this app. Really, it's participant-driven movement, and we treat everyone like responsible adults, so just be careful because you can control all the same controls that Terry can. You will be able to stop the timer, you'll be able to get rid of the breakout rooms that you might not be wanting to do, all those type of things, but really it's about driving your ability to move around, so you can click around, move to any of the rooms that you want. People should be able to see you appear as a participant number there. Yeah, hopefully just give it a try and enjoy the experience.
So thank you, Peter. Thanks to everybody who's joined today, all different weird times, but we're here, we made it. Basically, I think the reason why we picked leadership as a subject this month is because it seems to be popping a lot in LinkedIn and around is Leadership 2020. Right when the new year hit, it seemed like everybody was Leadership 2020, Leadership 2020. So I've been working with leaders for about the last couple of years, actually. And one question I get asked quite often is, after all these years of experience, all the money and effort I put into leadership training and classes, why should I change now? So kind of want to put that out to the panel members and just kind of start talking about why should they change? Why should leaders do anything different than they've done?
It's interesting that they are framing it as a change where maybe there's an opportunity to reframe it as an evolution.
Yeah, I think it's about becoming more adaptive. The world around us is changing, and it's not saying that they have to undo what they've been using for years as leaders, but it's being able to adapt to changing environments, changing situations. And, you know, changes now, as we all say, it's constant, it's uncertain, can't be predicted in many circumstances. So leaders have to be able to sense and respond and then adapt to changing situations.
I think it's a very important topic because people who, especially who were success in the past, it's very hard for them to change because they believe that what got you they need to change the kind of mindset to change, as Karen says, to adapt with the new situation, a new world.
I have a rather more unpleasant answer when I get asked. My first answer is, you don't have to unless you still want to be around, employed, and in the same position in 2 or 3 years. I don't think that it's an option that people stay precisely doing the things that they were doing a good 5 years ago. I also don't think that good leaders need to do that much thing, because what got them to become, kind of the type of person that's doing all right, it's not something they've learned, it's not something they have to unlearn, it's nothing that they got in an MBA. It's a lot more about their ability to have empathy, to have people skills, to understand their kind of tribe and move with them. So that doesn't need to change at all, irrespective of what way of working they have had before. So in between telling people that it's a question of evolving, like Rob says, fast, and then telling them that they can retain the talent of being an actual good leader, it's not a lot of conversation about things remaining. And lastly, I always tell people, if you end up buying in the agile mindset, it's a lot of fun. and it's worth it. So that's a good reason. If nothing else, so that they can have fun and move with the rest of us.
One of the things that we care about a lot is that behaviours won't change until the system allows behaviours to change. So managers won't manage in new ways until the system allows and encourages them to do that. And people won't work in new ways until they're managed in new ways. So we think a lot about how to influence the system to give people the capabilities to behave in these new ways. And then I agree with you that it becomes an emotional journey, but that takes years for people to evolve into a different emotional space, and they won't take that journey unless we examine and adapt the system that the managers and the people live in.
So how do you, oh, sorry.
So we're very systemic in how we think about it, Cherry and I.
How do you impact the system, Rob? That's kind of, I agree with you completely. When people are being incentivized to...
I guess a question that I've got is do we as humans, because, over time we feel that, we became successful, it ended up being our ability to predict the certainty in the uncertainty. And so there's a natural tendency for us to, at some point, go, it's because I'm a great leader already that I was successful. So similar to what you said before, but is it actually a natural bias of ours that it just happens?
Hi, this is Miguel Martinez from Mexico. I think that psychological safety must be a topic, a very important topic that all the leaders have to have in consideration in order to be aware about what are the things that they have to transmit to the teams. Yes, for example, here in Mexico, in a lot of transformations, it's not a relevant topic, and I understand that if the transformation doesn't start inside the person, it can be done. Yes, because all the transformation can be implementations and not transformations as well. Yes, I think that all the leaders have to be aware about psychological safety.
So, I mean, that's a good point, Miguel, and also to Rob's point about changing the system itself. I mean, I think that's where my frustration comes, is you can try to bring change, but as long as that system's incentivizing certain behaviors, it doesn't seem, how do you impact the system?
Can I just jump in? And I promise I don't know Miguel. I have not asked him to say that. But so that's not how it went. But before we go into psychological safety, which obviously I think is the key to everything, I think it's really important for us to try and frame it slightly, because I've seen many conversations that we end up all agreeing it's difficult to put our finger on what hurt us the most, unless we kind of try and take a step back and split the conversation between, not different rooms, just between the topic of what the individual can achieve, what the organization is meant to achieve, and what the team can achieve. Because I think those are three different dimensions where we can actually start affecting change and seeing things happen if we break it that way. Whereas if we remain at a place where we're just annoyed the system should do better, then we probably won't be advancing much. So just as a kind of a framing exercise, when we say, for instance, psychological safety is a lever at the team level. It's not something the organization can magically have or not have, or produce or not produce. It's something that needs to work on at a team level. It's also not something that you can affect as an individual. There are other things you can and should affect as an individual, whereas leadership is more of an individual construct. And overall, this kind of organizational and systemic conversation is an umbrella. I'm sorry, I'm just like very particular with concepts so that we can kind of move forward.
Okay, thank you.
And also, the last thing I'll say is, let's please, yes, get back to how important psychological safety is. It's an obsession of mine.
Duena, could I ask, so you were saying that psychological safety is influenced at the team level primarily. Are there things that you think can be done at the organizational level that really impacts that?
Yes, obviously, in an ideal world, you have more of the Silicon Valley darlings that have built a culture that's supportive of that topic, right? And they have built from the point of view of growing psychological safety. They have given everyone permission. They have told everyone how incredibly important it is to build and foster teams that are in that bubble of magic. But in a situation in which you don't have that, where they have started from that place, it becomes slightly more difficult. And then you have to have other reasons for the organization to want to be that invested in the topic. It's not far. I think that's coming, and a lot of organizations are starting to comprehend both the economical advantage and the fact that they are behind in catching up both leadership-wise and human-wise unless they do this. But we're not there yet.
So one of the topics was what do leaders need to continue to do, need to unlearn, and need to relearn? Do you guys have any thoughts on that?
I think one of the things that leaders are going to have to do, and I don't think, it's an option, is to, and we still have leaders, and we probably shouldn't call them leaders, who operate in a command and control fashion. And it's not because they want to do the wrong thing, it's because that's how they've been led, managed. And so the vicious cycle repeats itself. And organizations, no matter what industry you're in, are going to have to be innovative. They're going to have to be ahead of the game. They're going to have to sense and respond to what's happening internally and externally, and shift as quickly as possible to stay ahead of the game. And you're not going to get creativity. You're not going to get innovation unless employees have autonomy and the psychological safety to do so.
Right. So the way I usually couch it is they need to learn to be move from a reactive state where they're the problem solver and solving everything for everybody and reacting to the issues, and be more proactive about their leadership and proactive about creating organizations where people can thrive and survive and thrive, I should say. That's my biggest take is a leader today, when I see leaders show up for work, they're looking in their emails, looking at their appointments, running from meeting to meeting, solving problems, reacting to problems, where I feel like when I talk to leaders about actually being proactive and creating an environment and creating their own work as far as developing an environment where people can be innovative and that sort of thing, I find it's very difficult for leaders to get their head around that thinking.
My experience working with leaders, that I often have to tell them that you are not responsible for any answers and problems.
Right.
It's that your organization, your people, and all of you, everyone's problems, not your own problems, because a leader tend to think that they have to answer, they have to have answer, and they have to solve the problem. So a lot of times I have to kind of suggesting that no, you don't, just let your people thinking about how to solve the problem first, and then see how it works. And after some time, they see that the people who do the work actually know much better than them. And they said it's fantastic because people come up with a lot of ideas that they ever think of. It's very innovative and it's very effective. And once they have the answer, they have the solution, they are responsible for the solution, and they want to get there. They want to get it, and they do their best to solve the problem.
I think that creates a little bit, I agree with you completely, Cherry, and I think it creates a little bit of psychological unsafety for leaders, because they're problem solver, then what's their job?
Yes, because it's very difficult to just tell them don't do that, but you have to kind of give them some time to have some result to prove that it worked. Otherwise, they don't feel safe to let it go.
Yeah, when I work with leaders about this, when you first talk about them, I say get out of the way. And when you say that to them, they're like rabbit in the headlights. It's like, oh my God, that's a big shift for me. So I talk about take a small initiative, give it to one of your team, talk to them about you changing your management style or leadership style, explain the why, that's so important, and give them clarity of expectations, how often you want to check in and make sure they agree with that, and then get out of the way and let them go. It's not management by application. You're always there for support, you're there to remove obstacles, but you're going to let them achieve the outcomes in the way they want to. Magic happens when they step out, when the leader steps out of their comfort zone, just that little bit, a small piece, and they see what's happened. You've got engaged employee, motivated, great outcomes. Then it's rinse and repeat, and they do it again. And each time they step outside the comfort zone gets bigger.
Yep.
Hey.
I think that is an amazing point, that humans that have leaders, whether they are middle managers or CXOs or whatever level we're talking about, I don't think, for the vast majority, they are not ill-intentioned, they are not poorly trained, they're not lacking knowledge, they have all their ducks in a row. I think what they don't have, to Rob's point, is the permission of the organization to do the decent thing and allow people the respect and the trust to be doing things to a degree. One of the biggest examples that have hit home for us just in the last month has been, and it's a sick thing that we kind of intuitively knew, but didn't really resonate until it happened. So we have short background. We make a piece of software to increase psychological safety. It has one part that's shown to the employees and one part that's shown to the team leader. And we struggled with, where do we put in this software the parts where the team leader or the employees or whoever replenishes rewards, for instance, or allows people access to coaches, for instance. Right? So we've been struggling with, where do we place that in the software? And I've had an idea over Christmas, talked it over with the team, and we've designed it. And we now have something called the resources dashboard. And that's a dashboard where when you get in, when you get your credentials to get in, all you can do is buy rewards or offer access to coaches. That's it. You see no data, you know nothing, you have no clue of anything. That's all you do as a person that gets in there. Whether that's your CFO or that's your kind of team leader, the same guy that's looking at the data, that's a different story. But I think what it had for us is the fact that when we showed it, even to organizations we were working with, they were like, this is like my lesson in servant leadership. I'm supposed to just put money in here and help these people without even knowing where my money is going and what it helps. And yes, you are. You're supposed to just remove blockers and make their lives easier. It's none of your business how they get on with it. So yeah, that's our lesson in servant leadership.
Yeah, just listening to this Agile Leadership Conference now. So,
right. Yeah, it's
So
Yeah,
somebody's
Neil,
not.
I think,
So this is a good time for us to move into different rooms.
there was Terry, there was a question raised by Evan, which was, does anyone have an opinion on how to create and support psychological safety in an autonomous environment where it is likely failure will happen on the path to success?
We're not there.
Can somebody out there mute their mic, please?
There's always room for us.
So I feel bad monopolizing the conversation, so I won't answer it, Evan. I'll let someone else do it.
Well, so Evan, can you put some more context around it?
I think maybe what everyone is asking us is how do you reconcile psychological safety and failure as a constant? That's how I read it. I'm hoping that's what it means for.
That's a really, really hard question.
Yeah.
And that is back to your point about an emotional journey. That's one of the more emotional evolutions that people have to undergo, is the recognition that the embrace of failure. I think the path to get to that is educating them about how complex systems are different, and taking them on that journey about understanding why everything is an experiment, and that's the sort of intellectual, logical path you can take them on. And as they learn about complexity, that takes them on the emotional journey of understanding that they need to embrace failure.
For psychological safety, it's not only talking about the failure, but even about the success. Because when you change, when you work the new ways, then when you apply the new thinking, you see how different the results is, and then the leader may feel bad about themselves because they see how they did in the past that actually impact to the results of the companies and the well-being of their people, and they feel really bad. And I got one experience that one CEO even cried with me because he said that, oh dear, I feel so regret about what I did in the past. So that makes them feel bad, and some people even want to step back because they don't want to feel it that way anymore. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
That's a good story. I hope more CEOs feel that way. But I mean, there are a number of things that have been tried. Some companies in the Valley are rewarding failure systemically. I'm not sure that's the way to go, because it just encourages their own behavior eventually. But it is helpful at first when you drive that message home as an organization, as a company. You say, you're fine, I believe in you experimenting, I want you to do these MVPs, go and test and fail, obviously. When you do that, when you drive that message, yes, it's worth rewarding failure. But as you go further, there are many other levers in psychological safety, and failure just becomes part of your approach to resilience.
Yeah, I do agree.
Leaders have to embrace failure. You know, it's a learning experience. It's an experiment, as Rob said, and every failure is a step nearer to success. So let's embrace it for what it is.
So let's break into some rooms if you guys want to. I think we could have maybe a room on psychological safety. Or I want to see if you want me to, I can say I've been writing down the topics that I'm hearing. One of them is psychological safety. One of them is about leaders letting go, which is kind of something I'm passionate about, is how to help them through that process. And adaptability seems to be the other big one for that leaders kind of need to start embracing, is how to become adaptable. Does that sound good? Break into 3 rooms to do that? Talk about those?
Yep.
Okay. Do you want to take?
I mean, it's heartbreaking because let's go to all 3.
Why don't you take psychological safety, Dwana? Who wants to take leaders letting go? Cherry, you want to?
I'll do it.
Oh, Karen will do it.
Yeah,
And then adaptability. How about adaptability? Okay, good.
I can do that.
Let's go do it and see if we can use these rooms.
We'll see you there, guys. Let's see what happens.
Terry, did you want to put a timer? I can jump back in the main room and put a timer if you'd wanted.
Yeah, I'll go back and do it, Peter. Thank you.
You're just muted at the moment.
I'll go back and do it real quick. I think I've got, Karen got hers. I'm just trying to kind of help them, get them set up.
He just wanted to run through, you know that one slide, Jen? The one that looked like he just wants to run through that actually. The table, yeah.
So some of you have stayed in the main room. Who's in here? Got, she's gone. Liz, Joe, guest. Is there another topic that you guys want to talk about?
Yeah, he does. He definitely wants to know about where the numbers come from, and also your thinking around, I guess, exactly what you expect to deliver with some of the costs as well. Like you've got a prototype. What sort of, to what extent do we want to roll it out? To what extent will the prototype be working? And probably just the three different options as well. The cost was definitely, he was a little bit surprised at the cost. So yeah, he just wants to get a better idea of the thinking. No, I think yeah, I think he knows how expensive they are. More the fact that I think he probably thought it was a little bit lower than what we would expect to deliver it. So, yeah, exactly. So we briefly touched on that, but we thought that you'd be able to get a better picture of that sort of process. Cool. I think he's going to be here any second. How was the rest of your New Zealand trip? Yeah. Yeah. It's fruitful.
Guide the people toward the change or toward the thing that they want. I think
teach people at any one time. I was just wondering, what sequence of things do you need to teach leaders?
I have some idea in this.
You might be thinking about an answer.
Though his mood. I think people, like, I often advise.
We're going to have to be more agile in our ways of working, more flexible, ability to adapt. So setting the whole scene, talking about
a long time ago, you know, around how cultures, like the culture of a country or a race or whatever, potentially impact.
Hi, Liz and Sarah. And Joe. Are you having trouble getting into a room?
Yes.
Yes, so you can rent it or whatever, right? Yeah. That's the one that you pay 100, 200, depending on the size, there's two different sizes. Yeah. The one for two, whatever. Yeah, that looks small. Yeah, so they give you those doctors, right? Yeah. Because that's why, because I've got an appointment to do it. But then he was saying, to get, what I'm thinking, only, okay, because what I'm thinking is that we, because originally me and my mum were going to do it together, and then I think my mum's like, oh, can we both come to do this, which is what I told her, but
That's probably,
that's
probably the same case with the other two people.
And she was like, oh, no, I'd rather just have the option of coming in and getting it. Now she's like, oh, maybe not. Or maybe just complicated things now. Yeah. But I just wanted to check when I think she's got something else about like other like what are the other options, and they said that this they can say you actually
you know, what went well, what didn't, so that they can check in. So make sure that they keep moving in the right direction.
Thank you.
So I'm just joining. Sorry, I'm just joining in. I didn't hear the previous conversation, but I'm just wondering, Karen, I know you work a lot with leaders and change. The systemic issues for me, like if a leader is incentivized to deliver X, and that's what they get their bonus from, how do you, I find it difficult to convince them to get out of the way.
Yeah, and I think this is what Rob was talking about, the system. If we incentivize the wrong things.
Yeah.
But the thing is, if they're incentivized to deliver X, and that's got some parameters around it in terms of time and quality, uptake, embedding the change within the organization, whatever it might be, it depends on what it is they're delivering. If they understand that those outcomes can actually be improved by getting out of the way,
yeah.
You know, that's maybe the conversation we have to have. But yeah, it's about, you know, it's reinforcement, isn't it? It's reinforcing the behaviours that we want. If we keep reinforcing the behaviours we don't want, which is micromanagement, then that's all we're going to get. So we need to change the rewards and recognitions.
Right.
But sometimes the hard thing to measure, you know. But maybe it's not so much employee engagement, but you know, a pulse check of because I'm not a fan of surveys, but maybe some pulse checks for employees so that leaders get rewarded for the engagement within their team. Now there's a lot of influence that, but you know.
Yeah, I'm struggle with it quite a bit actually, and it's so funny too because I just was told that my current contract has been reduced, which is to me a failure. So it feels pretty gut wrenching. But it's funny how I promote, don't worry about failure. It's okay. It's just feeling your next success and all that. But it's still, when it happens, you know, you still feel like, oh, that's rough. I got to get through that patch. And I think we insulate ourselves from that just naturally as human beings. It's very difficult for us to really embrace that.
Yeah, it is tough, and it depends on, you know, there's always a spectrum, isn't there, of, you know, of failure. I think within teams we need to get that sense of experimentation and try. Okay, it didn't work. You know, and I often say that, like, if you're shooting above the waterline, you're probably okay. If things go wrong, we can probably fix it. If the ship won't sink, let's not shoot below the waterline because we probably will sink. So there's a bit of risk and parameters around it. But yeah, I guess, you know, it's the scale of failure, isn't it, that gets scary when it gets, you know, and when it gets taken personally. And it's hard not to, and it is an emotional journey to go on to. And it all goes back to what I talk about all the time, isn't it? It's resilience. It's saying, okay, Can I look at this situation through a different lens? Can I reframe? Can I look for the positives out of this? Can I reframe and see if there's a positive way to look at it? Can I see it as a learning experience? Is it now an opportunity to do something else? And don't see it. And I always, you probably heard me say, Terry, I don't say bounce back, I say bounce forward.
Yeah.
Having learned from the situation. If we bounce back, we're just repeating the situation.
Right. That's true. That's true. I
Can I
think
ask another
it's,
question?
go ahead.
So say you've convinced a leader to run one of these experiments of getting out of the way and letting go. Is there any way you can create the conditions such that that experiment is going to be successful and they can see the benefits? I guess what I'm thinking is, if teams aren't used to having autonomy and they're not used to making their own decisions and being creative, there's a chance that that experiment won't be successful, and then the leader gets discouraged and doesn't want to try again. Is there any way you can, I suppose, manufacture a successful experiment there?
Yeah, well, that's like I said, Jan. I would say pick a small initiative, low risk, that the chances of success are good, both for and it's not saying let's manufacture this, let's sort of cheat, but it's sort of saying, well, to both the team and the leader, look, we're trying something new. Let's try something that our chances of success are going to be good. There might be some bumps along the way, but we're trying this, and it's about making sure that the reason why is understood by everybody. We're doing this because we need to increase innovation. We need to do this because, I want to be able to inspire and motivate you as a team. And I believe that's about me now getting out the way. My leadership style hasn't been like that, but I believe that it should be, and I'm moving towards that. I'm not going to make a big leap, and having those conversations, but also having the conversation that, there will be bumps in the road, and let's just, let's go over those bumps and we'll learn from them. So I would start small with something that's probably I wouldn't be going out on a big project and just stepping back.
Yeah.
That's too risky for the leader. It's probably very, very uncomfortable, and probably very uncomfortable for the team as well, or the person that's been given the accountability. They're going to feel like they've been set up for failure. If they've given them, $1 million project, off you go, I'm getting out the way. I'm like, no, I don't think so.
I think that's really good advice.
In that scenario, are you applying more efforts?
Go ahead, Jen.
Oh, sorry to interrupt. I was just curious, in that scenario, are you applying more coaching effort to the leader or to the workforce?
It depends on the context which I've engaged. You're having the conversation with, when you say the workforce, do you mean the entire organisation, Jan?
Sorry, I mean the team that they're getting out of the way from.
Coaching on both sides. Because
okay.
If the leader, if I run a workshop and the leader goes, great, yeah, I need to delegate more, I need to empower, or whatever words they use around it, and they go back to the team and go, right, this is what I'm doing. The team are going to think, they've had some sort of episode or something. You can't just, they have to explain, and I can work with the teams as well to say, okay, we're going to try this change in leadership style, and so they understand, the team understand the reason why as well, and that they understand that it's okay if it doesn't work, and that it is a learning experience, and we're going to start small, and the leader is still there however often you need them to help you, to advise you, to support. The door is open type stuff. So, and we give them, and I work with leaders and teams to give them what I call guardrails, which are like principles. So guardrails are, keep you on the road and going in the same direction, and hopefully stop you going off the road. So there are a set of principles or parameters, if you like, by which people operate, so they feel they have a safety net. And it could be, these are very simple, and you'd have more details than this, but the principle could be, I will do right by the company, I will do right by the customer, and I'll do right by the customer, company, and colleagues. And if
Welcome back. That was fun. So what did you guys learn? What are your key takeaways? I can't talk this morning from your conversations.
I think one of the conversations we were having in the leaders getting out of the way room with Jan was very interesting. We do really need to start small, and it's small steps to a bigger outcome. But also, it's not just coaching for the lead to change the leadership style and provide more autonomy. There also needs to be conversations or coaching with the team to say, this is why we're doing it, and this is the big why, and what it's going to mean for them. Because if leader suddenly says, yes, I absolutely get it, I'm going to give my team more autonomy, they're going to suddenly feel they're being put out to drown. What do you mean you're suddenly giving me this project to run on my own and you're not micromanaging anymore? So you have to work with the leader and the team to come out to the outcome you want to achieve.
That's a really interesting comment, because many times when I'm looking for opportunities, they ask me what level of coaching I do. And I go, I can coach at any level. It's the same pattern. It's just different people, right? Like there's different issues at every level, but really it's the same patterns at every level. In my opinion, I don't know, maybe I'm crazy, but but I get asked that all the time. Are you executive level coach? Are you a team coach? And I'm like, I'm a coach.
Yeah, absolutely agree, Terry. It's you change the style depending on the situation.
Yeah.
Or the desired outcomes.
Yeah. We talk about. Sorry, can I talk?
Yep.
Yeah, go ahead.
We talk about how we have the leadership especially the close-minded people to change their mindset. So we have some ideas, like visualize the different scenarios so they can see it clearly, and they can decide what they choose, and also ask a lot of questions why they're doing what they're doing and what the result they want to achieve. So it's the thing that make the leaders thinking about. Normally they might do things just as a habit or as a culture, but they never think about why they do it and what the result they want to. Just the thing we do around here. If we give them a lot of questions and give them time to unpack what they're doing, why they're doing, then they may change that. They go, oh, hang on, why? They may consider to do it differently. That's what we get. Anyone want to add in that?
I think that's an excellent point. In particular, maybe that's more important than framing. I've missed some of it, but just on the topic of questioning, I have an obsession with that. I can't imagine that we are all adults with critical thinking, and yet we're expected to go and click on a button because the machine can do that instead of us. I would expect us to be able to reward that type of inquisitive nature. So instead of necessarily rewarding failure, which we can see long term where that would bring, it is perhaps better if we allow people to not necessarily make it an objective or an OKR, but keep an eye as a leader on the fact that when you have people that are questioning the status quo, when they are putting themselves out there as a courageous act, when they wonder why is it that we start at 9 and not at 8 or at 10, can we not put everything up in the air and rediscuss things? That's the type of behavior that they should be rewarding so that we can give permission, I think.
I've got a question, quite a tactical. one of the things I've pondered about was, would it be good or bad to have team members measure how effective their leader is at, leading them? I've got no idea whether it's a good idea or a bad idea, but I'd like your opinions on the risks, the positives, the challenges.
I'll be sure. Yes, it's a good idea, and yes, they should do it. There is no type of feedback that's a bad idea. And we, for instance, score leaders in our software on leadership, empathy, and positivity, and that's a result of the aggregated and incognito answers of the team members.
I think if there's...
Go
ahead. Go ahead.
No, I think we tried it at work a little bit, Peter, and the response that I got was that if we start inviting the broader team to manage or to give feedback on how the leader is doing in more of a public forum, it encourages cheerleading and sort of false results. So you want to be seen to support your leader publicly, and so if you're trying to gather feedback more publicly about how the leader is doing, that might encourage cheerleading, which would lead to false results. And I think that's one of the drawbacks, possibly.
I should have said, just to clarify, in our case, these results, as I said, are only visible to the team. So the leader and the team, it's a secret bubble between them. The organization doesn't see it, nobody sees it. But the leader needs to know what their guys think at any one time.
I guess the risk of that is...
Go ahead.
I guess the risk of that is if that leader is not really a supportive servant leader, that it might end up being punishment that gets doled out after that.
Then you have bigger problems than whether or not they were psychologically safe.
When I worked on really great teams and I felt like I was a good leader, I think we did that organically over time. I think you have to build that relationship, and then over time it becomes almost like it's just what we do. You know what I mean? Like what I do, like when I have my one-on-ones, like I'm just thinking of a team that I worked with was really high performing. We were really, really close. We always, and it was, we just had such strong relationship. We had one-on-ones. I would be like, this is what I'm seeing, what's going on. How do we fix these issues? And then I'd be like, and how am I helping you? What can I do better? And, the first time I asked, they probably went, you're crazy. I'm not going to talk to you about this. But as time went by, I feel like those relationships just built, and it became our natural way of acting, not unnatural. But I think it takes time and intention on the leader's part to do that as well.
Intention, yes. Sorry to jump in again. Last thing I say, I promise. It's really, really important as a new or existing leader to kind of categorically put yourself through the paces of facilitating those moments. One of the small things we've done is, and I know I carry on about this, that's our workspace, that's where we do all our thinking. We've introduced a small list of whether you've had moments of interaction with a human in your team, like the one-on-ones you were mentioning, and they don't need to be a formal sit down and talk about life or an appraisal, God forbid. It's that corridor movement when you maybe give them a half a hug or a wink or a like on their comment. Those are all interactions that will build to psychological safety, and they should intentionally keep track of them until they become second nature. So
no, you're correct. I mean, you have to intentionally, it has to be the forefront of your mind, and you have to be willing to do that. We went through divorces, breast cancer, miscarriages, the whole thing, all kinds of stuff, like, all kinds of personal things together as a team. And it just seemed natural, but I can't say I have that experience where I'm at right now, but there's not a lot of safety in the environment I'm working in right now. So, it's hard to develop that. I think, so to your point, Peter, I think it depends on the culture of the organization and how far you can push those boundaries. There's a hand. All right. Well, looks like we come to a natural halt. So just want to get your feedback on the session. Was it worth getting up at 7 o'clock in the morning for? And staying up really late at night. And I don't know, what time is it in Mexico? You're on mute. You're on mute, Mike from Mexico.
Midday or so, right?
Oh.
In Mexico is almost 4 p.m.
4 p.m. Okay, so we're all over the place. I think, is there anything, how did you guys like the breakout rooms?
Yeah, it was good when I realised I was on mute again.
Okay.
Karen, did you catch that we were typing on top of each other the name of the room? We were just grabbing this one conference room.
Yeah.
I really enjoyed the breakout rooms. For me, that was the gold. The discussion at the beginning may be a bit long. The faster we go into those meeting rooms, like the little breakout rooms, the better, and then come back and then reassess and then get back in. There's like a deeper level of conversation in those rooms, I felt.
Good. So maybe shorten the beginning, and maybe next time I'll just pre-populate the titles of them. That way people can just jump straight away into them. Kind of don't know where the conversation is going to go, but there's several rooms. What was that, Pete?
I was actually typing in. I was just typing in chat the 3 topics you had written, and I was going to say room 2, room 3, room 4, and then we all broke up, so it was a little bit too late.
Yeah, Gwenna and I like number 3, obviously.
I realize that maybe we just leave it, but yeah, sure, make it shorter in the beginning, but let people create the topic themselves. It's more interesting, because if you think about the fixed topic, maybe people don't like it. So I think the way it is very good. Just at the time, make it more
shorter in the beginning.
Reasonable.
Okay. Cool. Good. All right.
Yeah,
well,
just I agree with Omar's comments. The value was in the breakout room, and it sort of evolved organically. So I wouldn't really change too much. I had a bit of trouble finding the room that I wanted, but then the title came up and I jumped on it, and we're on our way. So yeah, the breakout room was well set for me.
Good.
And also, if it's open space, then just a reminder of like culture behind it, which is like the law of 2 feet, etc. Just so people don't feel weird about jumping in and out of those rooms.
Yep. Maybe we'll cover that in the beginning next time too. All right.
Yep.
All right. Well,
we should do it more often.
Yes, I'll be doing another one next month. I don't know what the topic will be. Be free to join the group and chime in on what we should talk about. But yeah, thanks for coming. As always, I got a bunch of notes. I got pages of notes here that I took. So I'll be doing a summary of what I learned, and I'll share the video. All right.
Well,
Thank you.
Thanks,
Thank you so much.
Good morning.
Thank you very much for the invitation. Greetings from Mexico.
Thank you, everyone.
Bye.
Thank you. See you.